think, sorry, my internet looks like it's lost unstable connection. Try and connect. And it looks like I'm cutting out still, so apologies if I am. I'll try and change that. So, as usual, I'm here, and if anyone wants to ask me any questions, please do. If not, I'll just waffle on about a particular subject. So until you ask me a question. So I thought I'd start with an apology, actually, because I have said in the past that no pyramid has ever had a person found in it, and I was actually wrong. I'd completely forgot. So basically, there's a Mayan temple. You've probably seen the pictures of it. Deep underneath the Mayan pyramid is a tomb, an actual proper tomb inside the pyramid or underneath the pyramid. And in that tomb is a sarcophagi, and there's inscriptions and things on it. And there's a picture of carved out of the person that's inside the coffin, and the skeleton remains were still there. So the picture depicts someone, looks like they're in some sort of rocket ship, using their hands and things. And why I have to apologise is because technically I'm still right. Now it turns out that tomb was built way before the pyramid was, and then the pyramid was actually built over it. So the pyramid wasn't built as a tomb, the pyramid was built on top of that sarcophagi. And what's interesting is the picture that's on the top of the sarcophagus and the skeleton don't match any humans that were around the Mayan era at that time, or even to this day. So you got to ask yourself, who was the king that was buried prior to a pyramid being built, and where's his skeleton now, and why can't we see it? So very interesting. So I had to apologise because it's technically not in the pyramid, but right, okay. So there's some questions. I'll shut up now and get to the questions. What do you know about countries officially releasing UFO data? So technically they won't. I know America said that they was going to release the data, but all they ended up doing was saying that they don't know whether it's ours or theirs or whoever's. Now, the problem with that is they said that 40 years ago. So if they can't figure out where these UFOs are coming from, obviously we know they can, but for the silly people out there that can't put two and two together, if they didn't know where these flying objects were coming from 40 years ago, and they still don't, they can't, you're telling me they can't track it to see what country it ends up landing in. Of course they can. So, they're not going to release it now. It's a really good point, because Timothy Good, I don't know if you've heard of him, British researcher, been doing it for many years. So he claims that he had a military person giving him various information. And one of the informations was about the abductions and why they're doing it. And his take on it is that the abductions are being done and we are progressively being not dumbed down, but made acquiescent. In other words, we will not be able to fight back at some point or another in the future. And then that will be we won't have the anger. We won't have the, I guess, anger really to fight back. So they're manipulating us, or in the, by the abductions, by taking people's women and impregnating them with their babies, basically, and then putting them back onto Earth. So eventually we'll end up with a race that's not really us anymore. It's another race that's been hybridized, and then they can basically take over. Now, apparently there is other good, more humanoid, human-shaped, aliens out there that are actually trying to help us, the ones that look more like humans. So that is why they will never let us have the UFO information, because if that is true, and the Americans are working with the good guys that's trying to stop the abductions from happening, then there's no way any country will allow that information out there to say, hey, look. And apparently, a couple of years back, there was an April Fool's thing in a particular country, and it said that there was an alien invasion happening, and kids, not an alien invasion, an alien craft had landed out in a deserty area, and the whole of that town, they didn't know it was April Fool's. They stopped their kids from going. There was so much panic and everything else. So it wasn't April Fool's, but what we learned from that is if we found out and if the government allowed the information out there from that there is UFOs, if that one little town did that, what the hell would the rest of us do? You know, well, I know what I'd do, but the normal people that don't really know about aliens, they would probably panic. So yeah, you're not going to get real data, unfortunately. Verchatia has wrote, what about Antarctica? Definitely something going on there for aliens. Yes, definitely is. It's been I haven't released a video, actually. I don't think I've released it yet on Antarctica. There's official recently in the last week or two. I subscribe to these fact places that give us this sort of real information, and they have concluded that in the past, I know we all know this already, but they have admitted that in the past Antarctica did have a swamp-like forest area, etc., etc. Now that obviously means that if there's that alien craft that's in Antarctica that the American American military are trying to hide, then it could have landed there back any time, before the ice ended up covering Antarctica. So there was definitely something there that the military want to keep secret, and I'm definitely inclined to believe it was that there's an alien craft. Whether it was crashed or landed, we don't know, but I think there's definitely there. Black Pearl Pandas wrote, hello, have you heard about the airport closure? I'm sorry, the airport closure in July because of an unidentified object. I haven't heard of that one in particular, but I have heard of, in fact, back in the late 40s, early 50s, when UFOs were being attacked by our military people, what they done, and you probably don't know this because this is supposedly top secret, is they flew over airports and forced the planes not to be able to take off and end up going off the runway, or sending a light beam down to the cockpit of the plane and letting the plane veer off and smash into another plane. So that was their warning to the American military to stop trying to shoot them down. So if an airport closes because of a UFO, if you put that back in context, if anyone's slightly aware of what's going on and they see a UFO flying nearby, yeah, they would probably close the airport just from that. What star sign am I? EJ has wrote, Gemini, split personality. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Shush, shut up. Okay. Sorry. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic, and so am I. Blackpool has wrote, no, I've read that bit. Sorry, just scrolling down. Morning, make sure to hydrate, as my friend. Just scrolling down. Hi, I'm James. That's Goo Rocket. Does the aliens run the Illuminati? Stevens asked. I believe there is a race of aliens, yes, that is in control, and I believe it's probably either the fallen angels that were left here after the Anunnaki left, which the fallen angels is basically Anunnaki that shouldn't have got told off for doing things with humans, which is kind of stupid, really, because Enki, in all the literature, admits that he had children and his children ended up being Adam and Eve, if you go along with that line. So he shouldn't have done it, and he was the prince. and a god, well, not a real god, but a god that we call God. So now the spirit, the Illuminati and the Satan side of it, there's people out there that say it's the Archons and it's the serpents and it's the reptilians and even the Jinn. I don't think anyone knows for sure. It's interesting that they do worship reptilians, the Illuminati type people, and they go around and do these sacrifices and things. And the story goes that in order to bring these entities through, they have to do these sacrifices, and they probably do it for real. And then these entities. So if they're not here already, in other words, if they're not the fallen angels or an alien race, and the story goes that they have to bring them through, which means from another dimension, it means that they are probably Jinn or some other type of interdimensional creature that can travel interdimensionally. So there's a lot of theories out there, and unfortunately I don't know the answers. But I think someone is definitely pulling the strings above all of them humans. Spreading God's word wrote, what about ghouls and Wendigos? I'm terrible at pronunciations, forgive me. Ghouls, in what respect ghouls? Do you mean just sort of ghosts? Or do you mean something different? Sorry. If you can let me know, that'd be great. Have you ever met an alien? No, I think I mentioned this before, and it's really sad because I hate when researchers say, oh, I've seen a UFO and I've seen an alien and I've seen this and that. I would love to have said no, but I think I might have seen them. I won't bore you, but it was a weird experience. Do aliens make men pregnant? No, they do take the... or they did, not so much now. They did. The story goes that they did take men's, to use to impregnate their own species. But this could have been a different species that was doing that. I remember a particular guy, whether or not he was telling the truth, was saying that this alien was very pretty and looked like a human. Did things to him, so he would do things back, sexually. And when they finished, she got up and she shapeshifted into this lizard type creature, which was quite interesting. So if that's the case, but I mean, obviously everyone was calling him a nutter, so I wouldn't rule out into this lizard type creature, which was quite interesting. So if that's the case, but I mean, obviously everyone was calling him a nutter, so I wouldn't rule out them doing something like that to start off with, but it depends which alien race you're referring to, really. But no, they don't make men pregnant. Fulio Culio Hero has wrote, they definitely outrank the Illuminati. Yeah, the things above. Yeah. Amanda's saying hi to someone. Dean Gaga's wrote, I love hybrids. Depends which ones, really. Barry Chuckle has wrote, or Cluckle, why has no one gone and checked out the Black Knight satellite? It's a really good question. So for those of you that may not know what the Black Knight satellite is, it's supposedly a probe, shall we say, that's been left here for possibly millions of years, and it's on a polar orbit, which makes it go around a different way to what we would normally put something in orbit. Supposedly it has signals broadcasting from it. Tesla said he believes he received, not Elon Musk Tesla, but Nikola Tesla reckons he received some sort of signals from it. Other people have said that radio enthusiasts back in the 30s and 40s had said that they felt like they received some sort of communication or transmission from it. And there's pictures of it online, and NASA says it's a part of a spacecraft or something that came off and is just now stuck in that orbit. Funny that I I think it's probably a real thing because NASA wasn't around back in the 30s and 40s, certainly not into space anyway. So I think it's possibly a real thing. Now the question is, why hasn't anyone gone seen it? So if there's photographs of it, the first thing that they probably would have done, NASA, is gone and seen it. So if they did see it, they've either tried to bring it down, because that's the first thing that they would try and do, to study the technology on it. And obviously if there's some sort of defense mechanism on it, which is why it's still floating around there, then they can't get to it, obviously, for whatever reason, then if it's still there, and they will not obviously allow photographs of it. And it goes back to who's really controlling space. So as much as Elon Musk wants to tell us what he knows, and Robert Bigelow wants to tell us what he knows, and so on, they won't be able to tell us, because their life will probably be in danger. So if it is up there, I mean, you can get people that say that they can get it with a telescope at a certain time, but obviously it's at a different orbit, so it sort of makes it harder for us to see. So hopefully that answers your question. No one's going to let us know unless we go up ourselves. Now, there was thinking about it, there was a group of people that was, I don't know if you've heard of these small cubes that they could put into orbiting satellites that would then be released. So in other words, they would have all this technology on them. So it's a payload, but these are done by, I think it's a foot by a foot by a foot size, and whatever you could put in that, and people could pay, I think it was as cheap as £15,000 for that cube to go into space, and then you could have your scientific equipment on it, etc. And there was a guy that was trying to raise the money to get this device that would actually go and look at the Black Knight satellite and take pictures and get as close to it as it can. But I've never heard any more of that. And the problem is, as soon as people like that start saying what they want to do, the less chance they've got of doing it, because of who that will stop them. Juno's wrote, how would you distinguish between alien and humans? Good question. Obviously, there's various different types of aliens out there. There's ones that look like us, ones that were us technically, if you class the Anunnaki, but they're taller. And then you got the hybrids that supposedly you wouldn't even know the difference between us and them, except for the hybrids that are here have the ability to almost control you, shall we say? Like when you get abducted, if you know, but people get abducted, they freeze, they can't move, paralyzed, and supposedly these hybrids can do that. They can paralyze you just like the little greys can, and they can sort of make you do things that you don't want to do. Not in a not physically, by waving their hands and saying, listen to me, but just telepathically, they can sort of say, write a check or whatever. That's so the answer is, now you probably wouldn't know. If you was looking at those type, you wouldn't know who is a hybrid. In fact, some people didn't even know they were hybrids until they were taken on board a ship, and then they then realized, hang on a minute, this is so they've been placed here early on as a hybrid, but then they didn't know they were here, and then they get taken up. So yeah, you probably wouldn't know who's a hybrid and a human. Salma has wrote, what actual proof is there that aliens exist? I believe anyways. It's a $1 million question, isn't it? If you can find something that you could actually 100% put money on. You've got more chance of saying that UFOs are real, because there's real things that's happened. The radiation by a tree where UFOs landed, the landing pads. eyewitnesses, videos. So you've got a lot more of that than. But I would probably say the Roswell crash would probably be enough proof. There's now, especially on deathbed confessions, people that were on the Roswell crash, even is it not commander, someone very high up, lieutenant commander or something like that, has admitted that there were little grey aliens, and Roswell did really happen. So I think Roswell's probably the best case for proof that there was certainly a UFO and it crashed and it had little greys on board. Other than that, it's a tricky one because people can debunk things quite easily. And that's a problem sometimes, because you see these YouTubers and they say, "Oh, look, I've debunked this because I've recreated it." But just because you can recreate something doesn't mean that's how it was done originally. Juno's wrote, also, humans are terrible. If aliens want to take over, I'm all for it. Yeah, we are pretty bad, aren't we? I mean, we kill and stuff. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Juno. So DJTZ wrote, are these the Arcturians or Lemurians? So the Lemurians date back to supposedly when Atlantis was around, and there's one story going around that that the Lemurians actually had a fight with the Atlanteans. I don't know. I mean, and then the story goes that the Atlanteans were tall blue people, which I struggle with. That I don't know. I don't think there's enough to go on, especially Lemuria is something that there's no sort of real trace back. You can't sort of go back and say, aha, look, here's a carving of a Lemurian, or here's a carving, which you can with an Anunnaki. His text on Lemuria, it's sort of more hearsay, unfortunately. And even so with Atlantis, it's hearsay. It's just we're all basing it off of Plato, who supposedly heard it off of someone who supposedly heard it off of a priest from Egypt who knew about the story that was a couple of thousand years prior. So it's a lot of, Chinese whispers type of thing. So I can't be 100% sure that Lemurians were real. I know people out there are, claiming a certain part of the world, had Lemurians on it, etc. But there's just not enough info there. Amma DICK has wrote Element 115. Yeah, that's so for those who don't know, Element 115 is what Bob Lazar back in the 80s, mid-80s, had said was used to power a craft that he'd found he'd been working on at Area 50. Well, it wasn't actually Area 51, it was S4 Groom Lake, but same sort of thing. Back then everyone said there's no such thing as Element 115, and of course as time went on, two Russians created or a synthetic version, but it was still an Element 115, and it had the same sort of properties as what powered that craft. So that's why people now believe a lot more in Bob Lazar. But back in the 80s, everyone thought he was a nutter, and he is a very intelligent guy. So to go out, and he's had his own businesses and everything. So to constantly still harp on about that he worked on a UFO is sort of a crazy thing to do, because it could have lost him jobs and everything. Thank you, whoever sent a cup of tea there. I just saw tea flash up. Velvers wrote, they're already here. Are they already here? If you're referring to aliens, yes, they live among us. The hybrids do, apparently. So yeah. What's a Peter's asked, what's a personal supernatural experience? You mean for me, or do you mean in general? I did a Ouija board, and that blew my mind, and that's my personal one, and I totally believe that spirits are there. For everyone else, it's it's hard. You need some sort of proof, really, don't you? That really two people need to see the same thing, I think, for you to not feel like you're an idiot or you're losing your mind. Starmies wrote, that sounds very similar to the War of Worlds incident, which was played out over the radio. Yes, it does. The people thought the radio was real and they ran. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but supposedly that War of the Worlds, I mean, whether or not this is true, but supposedly that War of the Worlds broadcast was deliberately done to test what would happen with people if they knew about aliens. And then that goes on to the movie as well. The military apparently paid for the movie that was called The Day the Earth Stood Still. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember that film. Not the Keanu Reeves version. But yeah, they paid again, like I say, they paid to find out whether or not what people would do after seeing that movie about aliens. Julian's wrote, firmament, yes or no? Firmament, to me, looking at the actual literature from where it come from, not just people on YouTube, the firmament to me is the atmosphere. It's as plain as the nose on your face if you read the original literature about the stars in heaven. And obviously we know heaven should have been the word space, but back then they didn't know the word space. So the stars in heaven, which are above the firmament, which is the atmosphere, and they struggled to get through the atmosphere when they first came here, and they wrote about it. They wouldn't have been able to get through it if it was this impenetrable dome. So yeah, it's just unfortunately people have latched onto the firmament thing and said it's a dome, impenetrable dome. But if they actually just go back and read where it all came from, where the first words were for firmament, then they'll just say, oh yeah, okay, we're a bit silly now. Yeah, there's no such thing as a dome. Does the Galactic Federation exist? So you've got the Air Force, and then you've got the Space Force, which Space Force has been going a lot longer than what Donald Trump recently sort of set up. And that we know that from the Gary McKinnon hacking scenario that he did into NASA. So supposedly there's a Galactic Federation, yes, and people like Corey Good. So there's different factions of the Space Force. So you've got the Galactic Federation, which is we're supposed to be part of that with these aliens and so on. So if it's true, I'm being cagey here because obviously I'm not part of it. But if it's true, and to me it's very logical that it is. They've been doing this for a long time, and I remember, as I said on another video, that I saw a video when YouTube first came out of someone giving a total briefing on the TR-3B and everything else, and the Space Force, and this was back in 2004 maybe or 5. And it was a half-hour presentation in front of military people, and he was showing slideshows of the craft and what they could do and where they've been. That to be fake, that would have that would have took a lot of effort. So I think that was absolutely genuine. Unfortunately, I never bloody downloaded it. I just didn't think these things get pulled off back then. But that was sort of suggesting that there was a Galactic Federation as well. So, I mean, whether they call it Galactic Federation in that, but that's what I guess what we researchers are calling it. Okay, just scrolling on. Barry has wrote Black Knight. I did mention that. I think sometimes these things get repeated, or I'm so far behind. Forgive me. Westall and aerial alien school sighting. Google it. Dil Owilo. Is that the recent school one, or is that the South Africa one? I can't remember the name of the school. If it is, I can waffle on about that. Do you know anything about the next upcoming soft disclosure? If you're referring to aliens, there won't be a. The only time if they're going to disclose, it's going to be for a reason other than to let us know that there's aliens there. It'll be the Project Bluebeam. So we'll get this alien invasion, and they'll all asked us to go off to these concentration camps, which they're not going to call them concentration camps, but they have been built pretty much in each country. So the people that's left after something's going to happen to them, I don't want to ruin this live chat, but anyone that knows where I'm going with this, with the what's going on in the world today, whoever's left alive will be the ones that will be taken to the concentration camps. And I totally believe that, because I'd listened to remote viewers and clairvoyants, etc., many years back, and they all said the same thing. So about these concentration camps. So yeah, that's the disclosure. If it's going to be, it'll be us being ushered into these concentration camps. Where does Hermes fit into this and his purpose? And you're not referring to the courier company in the UK that's called Hermes. So yeah, I'm just getting to these videos online. I did ask if people wanted me to go into sort of the Roman gods and things like that, even though technically they're Anunnaki, and everyone said yes. So you're going to see videos of where they fit into it, Zeus and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go into some good detail on where I think they all fit into it and who they were, etc., what relationship they were to each other, and so on. So if you don't mind, hold on, subscribe if you haven't already, or follow, whatever you need to do. Dow Smith, you heard the theory about the meteor that wiped out the dinosaur. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that he's wrote after that. No. Yes, I'm sure pretty much everyone's heard the theory about that, but I don't think they wiped out the dinosaur. I think there probably was a meteorite. There's enough evidence around the world to show a certain band that has a certain mineral in it that would have come off from a meteorite at that same time all around the world. So I think there was certainly something that happened that affected the ozone or the light getting to Earth. So I think there's generally something there. That's and it's not inconceivable, seeing as back in 2004, I think it was, NASA actually caught a meteorite smashing into was it Mars? Yeah, Mars, and making a big explosion and everything. So if that got hit by Mars, or was it Saturn? Can't remember, sorry, but one of those. If you just Google it, you'll see it's still images, but it shows this massive meteorite whacking in. So if that happened there, it could have happened here. But I don't think all the dinosaurs died out. I think that's just mainstream trying to avoid having any complications with the fact that right up until the Bible they talk about the behemoth, which was some sort of diplodocus or a brachiosaurus type dinosaur, because then that would mean the Americo figurines, which show people and dinosaurs together, giant people riding on the backs of these dinosaurs, would probably been the Anunnaki. So if that's real, then they would have had, history would have changed. So they have to say the dinosaurs died all out, otherwise they would look silly. I witnessed Joe has wrote, I witnessed an alien craft in Long Beach, California in 2016. Very lucky you are. Yeah, unfortunately now with drones, it's it does muddy the water a bit. But if you've got an older sighting, then the chances are it was definitely a UFO. But now it's really difficult. You can see these lights flying around doing all sorts of weird maneuvers, and it turns out it's just some sort of drone. The story about the shapeshifting alien sounds very interesting. That's probably referring to the one where the guy had some sort of relationship on their craft with this woman that turned it into a reptilian. And I mean, if you go back to the V program, I don't know if you guys remember the V, where they was talking. I totally believe that was someone trying to tell us what's going on. I thought that back then when I watched it, and I still believe that now. Unfortunately, we was all a bit dumb back then and didn't realise what was going on. But if that played out now, then yeah. In aliens, you think inner world or outer world? I think so. Antarctica probably has some where the Nazis were, which was, if you watch my videos, you'll see that there's a trail that apparently led to the Antarctica, which is why they ended up fighting Admiral Byrd. So, but I don't think they're sort of indigenous aliens there. But the Inner Earth, lower depths. The problem is there's so many different people. There's so many that say they're absolutely 100% credible. And I go back to Emery Smith really, who said he's been to the Inner Earth and there's only, and I picked that up on, there's only a plant that was like an octopus that was the only sort of real living creature. And then on another interview he turns around and says there's little aliens down there, indigenous foreign creatures. So there probably is an Inner Earth. If we're all just lumps of rock stuck to each other, which I think we probably are, then there's probably huge chasms underneath. And life could have quite easily grown there, as we know life can grow pretty much anywhere, in the hospitable places. But as for aliens in the Inner Earth, I mean, there's the stories that there's reptilians that branched off. The reptiles branched off and ended up being humanoid and living under Earth. So there's loads of different stories out there, but there's nothing 100% concrete that I could definitely say. Carefree has wrote, you know what, I believe in this stuff, but how comes with all the tech we've got no solid evidence? Good question. I mean, going back early on when we had photographs, people said they were faked. Even good clear photographs like Adamski's photographs, Billy Meyer's photographs, people say they're faked. So as soon as that happens, then no one's interested in finding out more. And we have got the technology. I mean, military can even with radar can actually tell you what by the engine, what I'm trying to remember the wording of it, but by the output of the engine on the radar, they can actually tell you what plane it is. So like if it's a Russian MiG, for example, they could just on a radar they can actually tell you what that is. So they have the technology, but obviously the military is never going to let us know. So unless you're a civilian and you don't mind sticking your neck on the block, that's the other problem. Let's just say someone actually captures an alien. The moment they say they've caught an alien, they're going to be number one on the hit list from the military, because there's no way the military would want that information out there. So, so even if you've got evidence, you probably would be best not to show it, I would have thought. Otherwise, your life might be in danger. Jojo's right. Have you heard of Lakatata Files? Sorry, my pronunciation is crap. Interesting interview. No, I haven't. Amanda's replying to people. Amanda's great. If you have any questions, Amanda knows loads. Do you know anything? So Anthony's wrote, do you know anything about Earth's axis changing because of the age of Aquarius? Just so the story, well, that's not really a story, but we scientifically now, as I mentioned earlier on in this chat, that they have now definitely said that Antarctica was lush with forest and swamps and whatever else. So something has happened to our planet to now make that an ice pole, and whereas the Sahara was underneath water at one point, it's now not. So there is a switch that does happen, I'm guessing. That's the only thing I can put it down to as well. Whether we're going to get one in the next, in our lifetime, I totally doubt it. But it probably does happen. But I don't know if we'll ever know when. We can estimate, 100 million years ago or whatever. But, in between that's a lot of time to, anywhere between, a million years or whatever is still a long time. So even if we got that estimate wrong by a million years, we would never know, our lifetime. I don't think we're going to find out. Just reading down. I see all these little hearts flying. Thank you, whoever's tapping the whatever needs to be done to get those hearts flying up. It's very nice. Flamingos wrote, I would love to sit with the host and chat about all this while having a beer. Are you in the UK, sir? Because I'm not double jabbed. I'm not double jabbed. I'm not jabbed at all, and they probably won't let me on a plane. And I see some roses flying around now. Thank you very much for these roses. Anyone heard about Operation High Jump with Admiral Byrd? Yes, I've done a few live chats on him, and I've done a couple of videos on him. I won't go too much detail, but he also said that Antarctica has green areas. So I'm guessing he means under the ice, because obviously above the ice you probably wouldn't get much green. But if it was the part of the inner Earth, which is where he was supposedly tractor beamed into in his plane, then that would make sense that underneath the ice there might still be that lush green swamp type thing that I was just mentioning earlier. So it all makes sense. I'm just going to whiz through the questions. There's something flying here. Someone sent a paper crane. Thank you. Never seen that before. Black Ops, Aliens and Spirits. I've read that book. I've got a copy of that book, and I'll be giving a copy away, or copies away on Video 500. Excellent book. Wish I could listen to the discussion, but I have to go to work, Gonzo. I'm so sorry. But these will be on YouTube. If not, there's already other ones on YouTube, so if you're interested. Oh, thank you, Flamingo. He's wrote to that person that they're already on YouTube. Thank you. Hack sent the tea. Thank you. I will take that cup of tea. Thank you very much. Good morning from New Jersey. Hi there. Just scrolling down. And there's the Flamingo from Waco, Texas. And there's a rose flying in my face. There's like 3D stuff popping up. Ultra Dex officials wrote, why lie about these things, though? Why the cover-ups? Well, first of all, if the treaty between Eisenhower and the Tall Whites are to be believed, then Eisenhower allowed the Greys, the smaller Greys, on behalf of the taller Whites, to abduct people and do experiments on them. So that's a big no-no. If we found that out, as a real thing, then people will be going, hang on a minute, who gives you the right to allow an alien race to come and take us and experiment on us and whatever else? So that's the first problem. Second one is military want the tech. Now, as soon as we find out that there's aliens out there and they can cure people, they can take your the tar off of your lungs, and if you've been smoking, if they got that sort of technology, every single person would go, my child's ill, I want them to help us, I want them to help me. So the technology they're not going to allow. So basically, they don't want us to know. That's why the cover-ups, unfortunately. Sorry, someone's still ringing. Hi, Mad Dog. Nerferer Nerd has wrote, the firmament is the Van Allen belt. See, I don't think so, because if you go back to the original texts of where the firmament was described, they're describing it from Earth, looking up into, well, they call it heaven, but it's translated, should have been space. So the logic there is it just wouldn't be the Van Allen belt, because that's too far away for them to have described that. That's just my opinion. It just makes sense that they're on Earth and they're looking up and they said above the firmament is the stars in heaven. But if you was talking about the Van Allen belt, then you wouldn't say above the firmament, because you're in, the Van Allen belt both sides of that has got stars. Do you see what I'm saying? So I can't say it's just scrolling down. Nerf has wrote, after Roswell they broadcast the alien landing and put it in all the papers. Yeah. See, this is the thing. You see, people like Timothy Good were saying that they were shot down. There was two craft, and the military shot them down. And I struggle with that big time. And you guys are smart. You'll understand when I say, if the military shot these UFO craft down, it wasn't for 2 weeks that the rancher then found the debris, then told the military. The military was shocked enough to actually say to the papers, "Oh, this is a UFO." And then other military then the day later said, "Oh God, no, retract that. It's actually, no, we want to keep that quiet." So if the American military shot them down over New Mexico, they wouldn't have allowed 2 weeks to have passed and then forgotten about it. They would have been there and we wouldn't even known about it. So, yeah, that's just my thought on it. So, sometimes logic is smarter than people saying things. The logic just isn't there that the military shot them down. Nerfs wrote, then they went and bought and collected all the papers from houses. I didn't know that. If that's true, that's interesting. And then changed the story. Yeah, they did change the story. Yeah, but I didn't know they went to people's houses to collect that newspaper. That's it. That would be really interesting if that's true. Nurse wrote, 30 years ago in Milton Keynes, an alien sight, and me and my friends saw it. It was real. Cool. Excellent. Sorry, Hack said has wrote, pretty naive to think we're the only life form out there. Amanda's wrote, definitely. Just scrolling down. The flood of Noah. I've got saved videos and I've only got 8 minutes left. So I could go on about that, but there's still 35 more messages, and the videos that are coming up do go into some depth about Noah and the flood. So if I wouldn't mind asking you if you could just hold off and watch the videos, or grab me next time on a live chat, and if I have more time, I'll go into as much as I can on it. I think user 13 is right. I think the cams will be for the vaccinated people. They will they will turn the Walking Dead. Yeah, I'll have to be careful what I say, but I think you'll get what we're going with here. Chad Clean, I think, said definition of dinosaurs is just massive reptile. Well, I mean, dinosaur is lizard, and T-Rex was Tyrannosaurus was called Lizard King, I think. I'm just trying to read down. Queen Sunshine's put a little heart. Thank you. It's very nice. I'm just trying to read things that I can sort of answer. The moment they mention they have an alien. Yeah, so Flamingos wrote the same thing. The moment they mention having an alien, they and everyone he knows will disappear from existence. Absolutely, yeah, they would. Do you know, I've thought about this. I thought, now I'm kind of giving the game away here, but I thought, what if, because I know they monitor calls and things like that. So I thought, what if, like, for example, I contacted some of the top researchers that have their phones tracked, such as Richard D. Hall, for example, and I said, listen, I've got an alien, or I've got an alien artifact, or I've got a spacecraft or something, and it's in a barn. But the plan would be is we film that barn from a very far distance away, and we put up little cameras and everything, and then when the Black Ops turn up there to see if it's real, bang, we've got them, because they wouldn't turn up if there's no such thing as aliens. Yeah, that was my little plan. I haven't done that. Flamingos wrote, Antarctica isn't how they show it. You're probably right. I mean, I've not been there. You're probably right. There probably is possibly patches of green. I don't know. Hard to imagine there is, but there may be. Jojo's wrote, I have to get going now, but please look up the Laceretta Files 3-hour interview on YouTube. I will do that when I play this video back for YouTube. That will remind me to do so. New gifter, Chad. Thank you. I'm not sure what that means, but if you've gifted me something, that's very nice of you. Thank you. One alien has told me they have fallen angels teaching man technology, harnessing it and using it against us. Okay, I'm just running out of time. I would love to. Next time I'm on, I'd love to chat to you more about that. I don't know when I'm going to be on next. Probably Monday. Noon UK time Monday. If you're around Chold, I think it is. Sorry, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Try and join. Chad sent a rose, another rose. Haxa sent a rose, and Hax sent another rose. So, this is thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just paper cranes there from. We start a new game, couldn't we? Right, what's next? It's going to be yes. I wonder who mapped the Earth for Google. That's a good question. Goo Rockets wrote that. I would love to. I'm just running out of time, but I could go on about the map situation, the ancient maps, which are now different from the modern maps. So yes, really good. If you're around Goo Rocket on Monday at noon, do try and join my live chat. Exits as wrote, what book is that? I'm not sure. I'm probably so far behind those messages. If it's the book called Black Ops, Aliens, Spirits, Bigfoot, and Our Untold History, just type in. I think you can probably find it by typing in Black Ops, Aliens, Spirits, and you'll probably find it. Goo Rocket, have a great day, everyone. Thank you for. Oh, he's probably gone now, he or she, or they, or whatever. And Amanda's wrote the name of the book there. Well done. Take care from Michigan. Mr. Inappropriate sent a rose. Thank you. Thumbs up as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Are you Muslim? No, I'm not anything really. I just go with the research, and the research shows me that there was no such thing as religion right at the beginning. And to me, it was a made-up thing by possibly Abraham to get people to follow him, like they were following, but not worshipping in the way that we now see religion. The gods, which weren't really gods, they were Elohim, but we call them gods, and that's their race name, the Elohim. So basically, our creators, our masters, shall we say, as opposed to creators, the ones that created the slaves, which were technically us at the time. So there was no religion. There was just, they made us and told us what to do, and we did it, mined gold for them. So I think, to me, religion is just people jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, even right up to this day, people are creating religions of all sorts. What do you make of Max Spears and the Super Soldiers? Yes, definitely, Super Soldiers. I mean, they've been trying for years. I've used to hear stories of them, and it wasn't till the Kandahar Giant that they now are looking for the giant skeletons again to try and create Super Soldiers from the giant. So they've been using all sorts of things to try and make Super Soldiers. So definitely, yeah. Amy Miller has wrote, Amanda, what is the name of that book again? Amanda's wrote it, actually. Well done. Hello, my SC12's wrote, hello, my friends, sending light and love. Thank you very much. Is the president a robot? He's a really bad robot if he is. If you're on about Biden, terrible. No, I don't think he's a clone either. I think he's just someone they're using that is malleable, that they can actually manipulate. That's all I think he is. So I can't imagine him being a clone. Or if he is a clone, it's simply because he was deteriorating so bad that they used the clone body. And I do believe that they do clone people. I mean, Dolly the sheep wasn't just the first clone. You can bet that there was military doing it way before that. So Amy's wrote, someone told me Biden, Hillary and some others were dead now and robots. Any truth to that? I've not heard the robots. I mean, if they're clones, yes, they could be clones. And clones is just basically they take the soul or the entity out of you that's got all your memories and everything. Because when you die, that still has it. It's like a hard drive, but it's an entity. And they can actually put that back into a clone body. And they supposedly have been doing that for a long time to different people. But I wouldn't have said they're robots. That's just too... because, if they were a robot and someone shot one of them, an assassination attempt and, sparks flew off, that wouldn't be good for everyone would see that. So, or if Biden tripped up some stairs as he's going to a plane and half his face came off and you saw like an android face. So I can't imagine him being robots. Do you believe in shapeshifters? I struggle with that. I really do. Wind skinwalkers and things like that. I struggle with them. I find it hard to believe. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, look at butterflies and caterpillars. It's quite amazing how they can change. And chameleons as well, and octopuses can actually change their shape. So it's not inconceivable. Octopuses can actually, do some amazing things. So I guess it's possible. It's just I haven't come across one, so I can't say for sure. I'm running out of time, so I'm just gonna. Why not a weekend live? Because my dogs will probably bark in the background. I might try and do one. I have done one once before. I might try and do one on the weekend. What I might do is that thing that you can set up on TikTok that says, I'm going to be doing a live on such and such a time. You might see it and then you can join. How did you find my video on the Black Anunnaki, Mr. Inappropriate? I watched the TikTok that you sent me, but I didn't see anything that sort of referred to them as black, unless there was other parts, in which case let me know and I'll go and watch them. But the one that I watched, there was nothing. I don't remember hearing anything about that. And if it was, I would still like to see the literature or text to say that's the case, instead of someone on YouTube saying that they're black. Only because the ancient texts described them as pale skin. So that's why I'm not being bad or anything. I'm just saying that I would like to see something other than someone saying they were black. I mean, I didn't even believe what's his name, Zachariah Sitchin, until I researched it myself, and doubled up, made sure that other people that have said the same things, because I can't read Sumerian, but I made sure that I listened to as many people that have translated it. Morning, Jay Hole. Unfortunately, my time is run out, so I'm going to have to shoot. I said there's a few more questions. I'll be back definitely Monday at noon if anyone wants to just watch the 5G video. What you mean, the obelisk one, American Honey? The obelisk one, yes. So I have to shoot now because people will be waiting for me. So I apologise, but thank you very much for joining. And I'll put this on YouTube if anyone's interested in listening to it after. I'll probably put it on tonight. And there's other live chats on there as well. And I'll see all of you on hopefully Monday at noon if you're around. Take care, everyone. Thanks. Bye.